So recently there was this headline about Meg the Stallion, who's a rapper, and her boyfriend, who is an athlete. I believe he's a basketball player. Basically, she broke up with him because he told her he can't be monogamous. And of course, it's a shocking statement to most people. How dare he say something like this? But I feel that he was being very honest. And I feel that many guys kind of say the same thing, but we kind of refuse, after people admit this, to accept what they're saying and really pay attention to and understand what they actually mean when they are making an admission like this. Okay, so we're not accepting his admission at all, as usual. And most talking points that I have heard so far have condemned him for that admission and reinforced the whole gender struggle. They reinforced the plight of women who are struggling in the dating world. I just don't understand why men won't be monogamous or express the sentiment that they feel that they are struggling with monogamy. And it's basically the idea of like, look at what we have to deal with. Now, as usual, no one is looking beyond the surface at the natural needs, the natural human needs, which supersede any of the artificial things that we tend to focus on, like money, etc. Look how rich this rapper is. She's way wealthier than most average women, and look how wealthy this man is. It's not like if they're, a couple who's struggling for money. No, it has nothing to do with wealth whatsoever in this case. Okay, what we do see though is that his behavior and his communication. This behavior of the lack of monogamy is communication. What is all the sleeping around really telling us? The first thing that I observe is that there's a lust issue going on. Despite the fact that I think everybody acknowledges that there's like porn addiction and things like that, we don't realize that what's being geared towards men, geared towards lack of monogamy and not towards monogamy. We have these expectations that you're going to be a stable family man. Meanwhile, all society's messages are saying be a lust-filled man. And so when they follow this society's real message, which is to be a lust-filled man, then that's where the problem is coming in. What they're following and what society expects of them are two different things. What women expect from them and the message that society is giving them are two different things. And so it seems like people are not meshing well together. Let's take the example of a drink that is here in the country where I'm living right now. I observe it in the store. I see the advertisement and what it says that it's able to do. The drink is called Rude Boy. It's a beer, an alcoholic beverage. All right, but when you analyze what Rude Boy, which is geared towards men, primarily, when you drink this Rude Boy, of course, it wakes up your nature. It makes you more prepared. The meaning of rude, when we look at just the meaning of the word Rude Boy, it's somebody who's like lacking politeness. And we know that a boy is an undeveloped man. He's not grown. He's not mature, right? Little boys lack self-control. They're playing games. However, is the type of man who would be more like virile gentleman or something, right? But because of society's message towards men that being this impolite player of games is expected, we have heard over and over again, it's all about the game and players in the game, and have not aligned well with the expectations of women, which is to be the opposite of this Rude Boy. Okay, but men are saying that they have heard the message of society, and in fact, they are rude boys. The rude boys that we are preparing them to be, and that we are like training them to be through these types of messages. And these messages are not only through drink.
That was just one simple, small example.
So men are living up to what they're being trained to do, basically. And You know, we can't just be like, oh, how dare he say he can't be monogamous? Well, you know, it's hard to overcome the social training that you had all throughout your life. Next thing is that there's an issue for men with quantity with no quality. What do I mean by that? I feel like at this point, men are faced, women as well, but in this case, we're focusing on men because he made the statement he can't be monogamous. And, you know, why men might feel like they can't be monogamous and are complaining about the fact that they feel like they're expected to be monogamous, but that doesn't feel like what's coming naturally to them. Now, let's take two, meals. If you have a bag of chips on one hand and a plate of steak and potatoes in the other, you might desire the steak and potatoes. All right? But if all you're finding is chips, all right, that's lack of quality. Okay, no, it's tasty. I guess tasty would be like, it's cute. It scratches an itch. It satisfies a craving for the time being, but it's not going to satiate you. It's not going to fill you up. It doesn't have the vitamins. It doesn't have the quality, okay, that you're really desiring from a meal. A bag of chips is fluff, okay? I don't know how come nobody's asking men this question. It's like, do you feel like you are being satisfied mentally by this relationship? Are you able to speak to this woman and have like a true fulfilling mental connection with her? Are you satisfied physically? Are you satisfied spiritually? Because, we have three parts. We want to ignore it. We want to focus on the physical. We're going to dress up. We're going to look cute. Right? We're going to just pose for the couple shot or whatever. But how deep is that connection? What is the depth? Is he fulfilled by this relationship? Absolutely, and probably not. So what we do when all we can find is chips is that we might tend to binge and eat the whole bag. Okay, we're not going to just stick to one chip. If you're not finding something that deeply fulfills and satisfies you, if you're not finding the steak, all right, and all you're finding is a surface level relationship where you don't have that deep through and through compatibility, you're gonna just eat chip after chip after chip, woman after woman after woman. We're relating this now, the chips to women. And what you find is that you're still not satiated. You'll never be satiated on chips. It's just fluff. Okay, so I feel like that is an issue that needs to be paid attention to. We instead of just blame, we need to observe, why? What is he trying to say by this action? Again, you don't have what it takes to sustain me. I feel like something is missing. I need more. So I'm going to go look for more and more chips. Okay. Next one. The glaring, I kind of briefly mentioned this before, but the glaring obvious point that's being made here that we're supposed to pay attention to is that money and success do not guarantee anything when it comes to matters of the heart. We just said these two people are doing better than most. I've heard people go so far as to say, if you don't have a certain amount of money, you don't even need to be dating. These two people have money, and he said, still, no matter how much money I have, I'm still running around searching. I still don't have the one, right? Because it's not about money, right? So this is throwing our error in the belief that wealth, which is being upheld as a major qualifier for having a relationship, period, is a really crappy marker of, relationship success. It determines nothing or very little. When you're broke, you tend to imagine that money will make your problems go away. I feel like we're so far removed from the wealth of Megan and this basketball player that we feel like if I was that wealthy, or I could find a man that wealthy, that everything would be going well. And, you know, we would just be living as this rich couple, flying around and taking photographs and eating fancy places and going to hotels, etc., etc. But that's not it. Okay, there's more to relationships than money, and money is the least of it. I hope everybody sees that. Money is the least of it. If wealth meant anything, they would have still been together. Okay, so the struggle of finding money to do things is removed, but yet, you know what? They're still single.
Okay, so thanks for listening to me run my mouth about other people's business and give my 2 cents, making sense out of nonsense. And I'll talk to you later.